9:17. A motion to open the golf course committee meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And our purpose here today is mainly to discuss the 15th hole and any changes we might be wanting to make out here, and with the suggestions of Mr. Tim Garris, correct?
Yes.
Well, Tim, take it away.
Sure. So, I mean, you're all aware of the situation. I've talked with Steve multiple times, and actually Mike Toohill here, who's engineer, permitting specialist, wetland specialist. We both worked on the course originally when it was built. You definitely worked on it. I played an opening day.
Way before it was built.
Yeah, way before it was built. So he has a lot of lineage with the course and understands the site very well, and is essential to some of the other stuff that we'll talk about as part of this project. We know this house is getting hit, so that's part of the deal. We've heard about changing it to a par 3, and I think we're standing on the location, maybe back right of the tee, whether it's back a little bit more or in this vicinity. But we're here, and so it's a great view, and it would be a fun hole, great hole to play. It's good, but it is going to require some work. Whether we include removing a portion or all of the existing tees, so that we have some fill material, and we could even discuss stripping the sod and reusing that at some level. And also generating some fill so that we're at an elevation that we can see the water and the green surface. I think this is a great location. Cart paths here, irrigation's probably mainline maybe is right here, or somewhere, or was it the other side?
Between you and those center markers.
Yeah. So it's here.
We've already got a leg coming down the side anyway. So
Right.
We have two options.
So we can adjust that. So we're trying to be mindful of cost and et cetera with this. It's never inexpensive to do golf course projects. Tees are as inexpensive as you can get for the most part. So because it's not complicated, I would say. The biggest item will be just getting enough tee surface. Because now you're going to become a par 3, 150 yards, etc. There's going to be a lot of divots. So this is not, we want to have more area than what we have existing.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Elevation height, how high do you anticipate it having to be?
No, it's great. And it's part of why I'm here, because I think when you stand here and you see, also you'll be able to see the water edge. And that's essential, right, when we're playing. Because if your ball goes into the water on this shot, you don't want to go up there and then come all the way back, and where's the ball? So we have to maintain that visibility, which we'll get into Mike's discussion and how we're going to adjust and need to change and manage the pond edge itself. But I'm assuming we're at this elevation, because if you were to come down here, right, you can see that the grade changes, and maybe there's a balance. Maybe we don't need to be exactly as high, but we need to be able to see and get up through there. So there's, maybe we're in this elevation.
Well, we're going to cut down there anyway to build the gradual upslope. Cut back here, push the tee a little bit forward.
Right, we can definitely do that. Right. So that's something to define details when we get to it. And again, whether the tee's back a little bit for the blue, but then we get the majority of people who play the white, right, and et cetera, they're in this area. So it's virtually eliminating, as best we can, this house, this property from getting hit. He's got an audience.
For everybody here, are you giving away a car for a hole in one or anything?
Yeah, this is right
Yeah.
there.
It's that Lexus right there.
You put it in there. Let's talk.
Back right.
Good shot.
It's good till next round. Thank you. We should have given the hand.
So, and again, as part of this, I mentioned the idea that the pond edges are going to need work, and I know Steve and Mike and I have talked about the pond over on 12, 14?
Yeah.
14, 13, 12, that there's an outlet issue, and there's pond edge and erosion issues there as well. So we would like to include that as part of the project. As in looking at this one. So that's the tee work is fairly straightforward. Just finalizing the size and heights and slope and etc. you know, really it's again upon discussion how to deal with the edge, being able to see whether your ball's going in the water, and set it up so that these guys can be able to maintain that edge, so you can see that water. So did my ball go into the water or not? Right.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're going to come, if you don't know, you're going to go up and look, and then you have to come back, and you're going to play a shot again.
Right.
We've had some other, you know, we're looking primarily here in this space as a blue-white tee. If you'll notice, we have 4 tee groupings here, and there's been some discussion of possibly going a little bit further up and making a tee there for seniors and what have you.
Yes.
Obviously, the water's still be in play, the bunker's still be in play. Be about a 130-yard shot for them, depending on where you locate it.
Absolutely, entirely agree. And I would, right, I think you're spot on. I would soften the angle as you go, soften the hazard carry. People that hit the ball well and are low handicap, you know, maybe we do keep them back there, who knows, or they're back here. The main players are here, you know, go up to that next bump just after the carts. And you know, seniors, and even a little forward of that for the slower swing speed, you know, players. So if they get a shot, they can actually get on the green and play right up through that chute.
Do you want us to throw out concepts or what we think we're looking for? Do you want us to throw out concepts?
Well, I would love. I'd love your input.
Because
Yeah.
To Steve's point, what I'm looking to see out of a 15 hole is an easy access of the forward tee. And I pointed out the other day that I think the visibility should be so we could see a straight shot with the hazard of the bunker and the water there, but so you can either dribble it up, or if you're really skilled, get it on the green.
Right.
And then from a black tee, I'm looking for something that is challenging, but somewhat difficult, obviously. Consider as far back as we think is practical, getting the right tee height, so visibility.
Right.
Third thing, I think we should try to retain the cart usability as best we can. And, you know, how that gets laid out or whatever. And the fourth thing, I really think we should consider, if we do eliminate those back tees and use the fill or whatever, that it possibly could be a source of a comfort station for the rest of the golf course.
Sure.
So those are the kind of concepts I would like you to consider.
Yep. Yep. I think you're spot on with all of them. Yes. With the tee locations, being able to challenge and not, and it sets up for it so well. With even the existing hole, right? So you can be back a little bit. You've got more water to carry, and then you go up further. It's a softer, easier shot. And
I really think it should be some kind of elevated tee here, with access to the golf cart path, and even if you have to go up steps or whatever to get to a tee, and have the access of the visibility of the green.
Yeah. If we come back in here, because we're putting a tee here, it's not necessary to have this much fairway this far over.
Right.
So we can cut some of this out, and then we can, you know, get our height and make it so it's a gradual walk up, so you don't have to put in steps.
I would not like that.
Steps kind of tend to concentrate people, and especially if they're wooden steps, when they get wet in the morning, somebody's going to slip and somebody's going to fall. And we have plenty of space here to cut. Like I said, if we push it over this way a little bit, then we can make that like a nice gradual walkway right up that slope spot. Yes. Like I said, we can take it, and you know, obviously, you know, it's going to help in some respect right here because of the design of the irrigation system. We don't get appropriate water over here, and you can see what happens when we get periods of dryness and whatnot. So putting a tee in here, cutting the fairway back, augmenting irrigation should make a big change right here.
Yeah. And comfort station is interesting. I like the idea. Do you have? I mean, I know you have water and power, you know, right there with the pump station. So you know, we could probably pull it over fairly easy. You know, depending on what you want to have.
Well, that's it. Depending on what you want to have. got
Why was-
power there, but
No sewer.
it takes it.
Right. Right. Maybe it's a
Composting
Composting,
toilet.
yeah.
toilet.
The
Thank you.
Clivus.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, that would fit back there probably where the T sign is and whatnot right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah, if you use that, because you've got access right by the 14th green, and you can still maintain this cart path all the way around.
Right. So as part of this, of course, we're working in jurisdictional area, right?
Yep.
Adjacent to the pond. Even though we're here, we're still within range of it. And then anything going on back with the existing T's, there's wetland behind there. And so
Yeah.
we're in the buffer. We're not going to disturb the wetland per se or jurisdictional area except for the pond edge. But we're still within the buffer area, which would require some type of review by local town.
Yeah. Conservation.
Conservation, yeah.
It's only our committee and not the state.
Well, it depends what we're doing. It depends on how much you're doing. If you're doing below certain thresholds, it's only going to be conservation. If you go above those thresholds, it's going to be the DEP and the Corps of Engineers.
Even in applicability where these are actually man-made ponds with
Yeah.
a liner.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my concerns. We have embankment erosion due to wind and water movement that's causing slopes dangerously close to green edges to slough off. And especially over here on 15 and on 14. And since there's a liner there, we're going to need to, I'm assuming, if we do anything up there, we need to roll that back, clean that up, bring it back in to keep the water where it's supposed to be. And then the other question that I would have is what can we do to that edge to make it maintainable? I mean, this is maintainable for me, but by maintainable is I come in here in the winter when we're closed and I just take a brush saw and we just cut everything down. And of course, manpower wise, we only have we do it once every other year, and you can see what happened this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's up
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
and it
it's
doesn't take long for it to get up here.
Right.
2-3 months after we open up and we get the sun out. But then again, too, I don't want to lose too much of the habitat. You saw a few of our fine-feathered friends fly in here too when we leave it open. As a matter of fact, they're coming over here now to the opening because they can walk right up.
Yes.
Yeah, so
There definitely needs to be a vegetated edge, not turf to water. But it's something more so that you can see and
well, I'm saying
find your ball
we
and
can
see.
put different types of acceptable vegetation there that are not going to get that high,
Right.
but still give you that type of edge in some respect.
Right. And it may be up towards the green. Maybe it's, I'm not going to say a timber, wall,
yeah.
but maybe it's a steeper vegetated, stacked core logs, whatever.
I would with the timber retaining wall or boulder wall wouldn't bother me either. Because
Yeah.
then I don't have to cut it down in the summer.
Right. So it's a cost, but then we would, simplify your life.
Well, it would
forward.
I think it would simplify golfers' lives too, because one of the worst things is people they get over to the edge and they don't know that edge goes like this.
Yeah.
And they're fishing in there, and they take one more step, and the water's up to here.
Yeah.
So,
So you could go
they
in,
have a
right?
defined edge, and they see, okay, my ball's there, and I can't get it. So.
Right. Right. And I like the hard line with you're good, you're safe, or
Yeah.
you're not, and you're wet.
Yeah.
No gray area.
Remind me, where are the inlet pipes from the wells?
There's two of them. If you look right where if you look to the porta-john,
Yep.
right next to it, you'll see the newest well.
Yeah.
That inlet pipe cuts across in front of that bunker and inlets to the pond right in that area of cattails and whatnot.
That area on this side or on the other side?
It's between, you see where the cart signs are? It's between the cart sign and the bunker. I can show you
Okay.
that I walked up there. The primary well, the well that was the initial well for the golf course, the well itself is on the 16th tee.
Right.
It cuts behind the 15th green and comes in on the other side. So that one wouldn't be affected by any edge going along, any solid, structural edge going along the left side of the green.
We originally had 3 wells down there, I think.
Well, we have 3 wells. 2 of them are water level monitoring wells.
Okay.
One of those in front right of the 16th.
So there's only a pump in the one on the tee?
Yeah, that's it. Well, that one and this one over here has got the well pump in it too.
Okay.
this well here is set set higher than the initial well. So after a certain amount of time during the year, you draw down past the, depending on the year, you draw down past that's ability to supply enough water to refill the pond. Then you're on the other well for the rest of the year, which, knock on wood, has done a great job this year so far.
I'm asking because one thought I had, to see what you think about this, is take that edge of the pond out, turn that into rough.
Oh yeah, sure.
Expand it over here.
Yeah.
So compensate for that by putting it over here. It's up out of the way. It gets you a clearer line of sight here because your edge is now moved back.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be on top of where the inlet pipe is unless the pipe is deep enough to do that.
Yeah.
You can extend the pipe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. It's hard to recover from water.
yeah.
You're in it, and maybe that's okay, right? I mean, but look at all the shots that we have on the golf
Once
course.
whether it's the local conservation commission or something, once we get buy into that, because there are certain portions along this pond edge where the liner has been pulled up, and I would be willing to bet that most of that vegetation is growing through it in spots. Because it's as healthy as it is, I don't think it's just growing right on top of the line.
Yeah, because despite what we put back down here, shorter vegetation, Joe Pye weed or something like that, the cattails are coming back in.
Yeah,
Right.
oh, yeah.
So it's just a continuous
Gonna have to manage them.
management.
It has to be managed, right?
Right. So if you move the pond edge back, you pull that whole potential back.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, so it's inside, so
Right.
maybe we can manage some of them and leave some of them because we've left that opening wide enough for people to see and find the balls.
Okay.
Like kind of getting back to the question that Ed had from being the easiest for the forward senior tees to the back tees. What do you see as the potential farthest range back we would go? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, no, good question. I mean, do you go just past this mound? I mean, again, how many people play from the back tees now?
Minimal.
Right,
Minimal.
5%.
Less.
Right, exactly. So, and generally they're more skilled. Right. So the risk factor with this is maybe we do leave a tee like that where it is now, and that's the back tee. And if it's an issue, then we could always adjust or build another back one, or et cetera, or build the new tees and have extra space, knowing that may need to move up in the future. I would like to keep it as far the back, just not over back where the back tee is now. Because that angle is such that now you're coming over here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're forcing to come this way.
Doesn't take much to miss.
No.
Right, and then you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Majority.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure.
I'd say probably 50% white, 30% blue, and then the rest are other seniors, and like about 5% who play from the back. I mean, you can go to every black tee on this golf course, and they look beautiful, except for the one that's got a little heavy thatch on it, just a little brown in spots.
Right.
There's no divots or anything.
Yeah. Right.
Well, my thought is, obviously you stated this in the beginning too, so the ones that get the most use obviously need to be sized the largest, so you're not beating it to death.
Well, yeah. You look at this hole. This is originally a par 4. When this hole is designed, you've got 12,000 square feet of teeing space. You go 3 holes down, you get to the 17th hole, which was designed as a par 3. 8,000 square feet of teeing space.
Right.
Somebody made a mistake there. Put 12,000 on the par 4 and 8 on the par 3.
Yeah. And I would agree that the square footage by itself is, and I think the idea was to have alternate angles, and options, so that you start spreading out tee area.
So that's
I think
nice to do this here,
Yeah.
because you have that one angle down here, and then you can have alternate angles.
Right.
If we use, using this back edge. I like the idea of using this edge, just because, when we put in the cart path when they were doing the excavation, there's nothing down here except rock.
Right.
And a good bit of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to form a good base, but then like you said, we can extend it there, and we can get, much better, playing surface by being able to level and roll it. And again, being up this way, I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but you know, to pop a shot here and it ends up hitting over there.
Right,
I don't
right,
know,
right,
you know.
right. You think, you know, this is the corner. We're out here.
Yeah.
You could take it off the toe. I mean, you know, but now we're.
It would be rare.
It would be very rare. Yeah, and you have a fence there, and you have some vegetation fence. So.
Well, that's the important thing, because the reason we're all standing out here is because golf balls are going in that guy's backyard.
Yeah.
It's not safe. So
Yeah.
we can do something to make them happy and give us a nice hole, you know, still a nice playable hole. We're all good.
Right, right. Have you had any instances of balls over there with the tees here?
No.
Right.
This is a good spot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was great to be able to actually demonstrate what the proposal was.
Sure.
Yeah. And that may actually be further to the left than for the majority of people. That we would go. You know, maybe we're in here.
Yeah, absolutely. It fun pot for with the challenges of the bunker.
It's a nice view from here, actually. With the cattails, the bunker.
Well, like Mike said, you can pull that angle back and stuff really nice.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Certainly, maybe if you were 10,000 square feet, assuming we can keep it back to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
Well, the other thing that people like is the ability to move the angle around. People don't like to sit in the same, you know, like on the 7 feet hole, sometimes we take the blue markers and we'll put them on the black. I mean, the black tee is huge compared to the little blue one, but they move them over there, then it changes their angle.
Yeah.
Then they're not carrying, you have a different carry and everything.
Variety.
Puts the bunker in place sometimes it takes the bunker out of place. Depending on how well you hit the ball.
Yeah.
Getting back to what Mike said though, if we do cut the corner of this pond out, we are going to make it bigger on this end. The volume the same.
We would have to, I mean, at least the same, just for compensatory changes in a wetland edge, but also we could make it bigger if we wanted to or needed to.
Well, this pond here, if we maintain the size, it's the edge that you get. And by that I mean, you know, you just look at the amount of vegetation and the height of vegetation. And one of the problems with that height of vegetation is you know, God forbid you lose a golf ball.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, people are in there and you can't find it. Then they're out there, you know, they're bashing stuff and hitting stuff, and it just, you know, not only does it make a mess, but it frustrates them. And people, especially frustrates the people behind them because they're waiting for this guy to try to find the ball. So the idea of a lower but somewhat more manageable vegetation would be good in this case. We don't want to lose any volume.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the volume of this pond and the pond itself was designed so once it gets to a certain point, it hits that overflow pipe and then goes into the other
Right.
pond.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's just, we don't want to fool with that relationship.
Not at all.
Although I would like to have a gate on there so we could.
Right.
No, they
allowed
don't. It's
to
just
do
a pipe. Well, you know, a couple of years ago, we had a little emergency with the being able to get water over to the other pond. So we cut a hole in it, and we, you know, that way is cut a hole at the bottom so we can fill the other pond up. And then we just plug the hole. So what we may have to do too is, in order to look at the edges and stuff, we may have to draw this pond down so we, you know, at the time that the work's done, so we can get that water edge back and move things around.
Yeah, that would be essentially construction.
So what I can do is I just turn the well off, and you know, at the end of, you know, when we
Take
get
the
close to
bulkhead out
doing
of
that.
that pipe that we drilled in there.
Yeah,
Right.
that'll go
Take
with
the bulkhead out and it'll drop.
And what we did have to do in that other pond, though, is we had to change the positioning of the probes. The filling of that pond by the pump station is set up on a probe system. Water level falls to a certain point, the probe gets dry. There's two of them, one dry, one wet. When it gets dry, then the pump kicks on and starts to fill. When the level gets up to where the top probe gets wet, it cuts off. In the time that I've been here, which has been about 21 years, I've had to change the level because the overflow, there is no overflow.
Right.
And there, it caved in and it pulled the liner down in, and there's quite a drop and quite a hole over there. And, you know, Mike and I looked at that back in 2014, and it's a little bit bigger now than it was back then.
I would think so, yeah.
And the green embankment on the right-hand side of the green is tilting into. It actually hasn't gotten quite to the green yet, but the collar is tilting right into almost right into the water. So that's another place where cutting back the edge is going to be something that needs to be done, whether we drive pilings in or something, because you're going to lose that edge on that green.
Yep.
Any other thoughts? Manny, any other questions?
No, I'm fine. Sounds good.
So I guess where we go is we get a conceptual plan and some ideas, and I think probably at some point, you know, engaging the our conservation folks in the early phases. I know having been a former conservation commissioner in another town, you don't like to be bought in at the end.
Absolutely.
You always want to be bought in at the beginning. So
I would say we do a concept that we like, we agree, including Mike, and then we go and show them, hey, this is what we're pondering and we think is good, and then they would comment accordingly.
I'm actually working with your commission right now, with the Christian Commission on the PJ Keating stuff. Our company's been doing the monitoring for the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health down there. So, good.
Relationships are good.
So
One happy family.
There's familiarity.
Right.
And then the other thing, I think we, again, get that idea, but also depending on how that works out, because we're going to need to look at the timetable for this, because we can't continue this. I mean, it's not fair to the golfers, but it's also, it's a Band-Aid. So we need to get some idea, once we get those concepts, of what the timetable is going to be. And knowing what is involved in actually doing the project, and then understanding is, okay, well, we're here with a machine doing this and doing that. I mean, that bunker on the left side of that green is disgusting, and it's worn out. It's 24 years old. You know, you're here with the machine doing that's going to take, less time than doing this.
Yes.
And you might be able to trade off used materials and do other things with that. So that's another thought down the line. And then of course finding out what exactly we feel this is going to cost, and going through those steps and knowing, specifications and what have you, material-wise and stuff.
Yeah, I would feel comfortable when we're good with the concept and putting together a construction estimate.
Well, the nice thing about this too is that we're sitting here, even though we don't like that, we can still continue to use that. And because we're primarily out of the way of golf, we could even do this during active golf time.
You could, right? You could just move them forward.
Because we're not in the way.
Right.
We're not closing anything, and the golfers aren't actually hitting into the people that would be working.
Right.
with the exception
of doing something.
Except for the pond edge.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe the pond edge gets done wintertime, where that's the only time that I feel comfortable drawing down my my pond anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing it in August or July. And then we do that in the wintertime when no one's here.
Yeah.
And then this we can even work on while people are actively playing, and it won't interrupt them.
Right.
We can use this. We have nice new gate here with a nice entrance, and we can specifically made so the bigger trucks can fit in.
Right.
So we'd be in good shape that way.
Yeah, I think strategizing the construction schedule, phasing, and pond work and golf work, and how
that's
works.
the important thing that we need.
Works with
We need your assistance and the permitting assistance with, because then that way we can phase it in, and Dana can know what's going on as far as how it's going to might influence outings or people on the
Oh, absolutely.
but also keep the customers informed, because people always like to see you do something new and different.
Yeah.
And when you're doing something different, we can keep them informed, and they'll be, instead of saying, "Oh, geez, it's going to a par 3," none of which have improved their play anyway. I mean, they're still all bogeying or double bogeying hole, but at least now they're going to say, "Oh, geez, that's a nice par 3."
Filmed today.
Before you go into any of the other, we should
Sure.
Yeah, I think we all need to be on the same page with the concept of the cost.
And how we get them to hold the meeting.
Sure.
To make sure we get the biggest public buy-in.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Wrap that up for the,
Set it for next week.